Happy Halloween.
I got an invitation to a Halloween party.
It's Halloween. Holiday linked to the occult.
Halloween is Satan's night.
Is this Halloween?
Hand over the candy.
You're not even wearing costume.
In labor, but he came before they could take her to the hospital. So he's born in the house. Kind of spooky, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And who helped with the delivery?
There was a nurse that lived in the apartment.
So did he get any... Huh?
When he was born?
Yeah. All right, well, welcome to the podcast, everybody. Steve, Vikki, Tom, we're all here. Ann Rice is going to join us in a few.
Oh, scary, because today is Halloween.
Yes.
Are you going to trick or treat, you two?
Yeah, I am.
I'm dressing up, yeah.
As?
I'm just, I'm at that age where I'm doing the last minute costume. I'm going as the grandpa who will eat gluten and let the kids watch TV. That's what I'm going as. Because my daughter has so many rules. You ever see that movie with Billy Crystal and Bette Midler where they were the grandparents?
It was filmed in Atlanta?
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't.
I forget what it was called, but it was they're the grandparents, and he was a broadcaster, as a matter of fact, baseball broadcaster. Yeah. And the parents just have all these millions of new rules, just like my daughter does. Daughter and son-in-law have for their kids. And we
like
can't
no
violate
pole dancing.
Yeah, no pole dancing and no television, only like an hour a day. So I violate that every time I go down there. So that's what I'm going to do. Did you notice my house was decorated for Halloween, too?
No.
I turned off the Christmas lights.
Steve.
We're ready to go.
First of all, I just took a picture of what Steve got a webcam going on this now for the first time, and he's got like duct tape. I mean, honest, Steve, this is so trailer.
I know. Well, you're on the trailer side of the tracks here.
Yeah, we are.
So it's duct tape holding the camera or your phone up.
On a ruler. Well, it's actually a flip video taped to a ruler, taped to a speaker.
You are so MacGyver.
I am.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And, okay, well, I've got a choice of costumes to wear tonight. I've got a Boy Scout outfit because I was a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
I've also got a real doctor's uniform, and I also have a real Army uniform. So which one should I go with?
Why don't you kind of mix it all up?
Yeah.
Why don't you come help
the
me?
schizophrenic doctor, army guy.
Who's worried about, they're over there, get your guns drawn now with a shot.
And I'm not dressing up, but I do have the big candy bars.
Oh, wow.
So I did good, right?
How much did you spend on that?
I went to Walmart, and I got a great price.
Wow.
Now, why'd you pull? That's usually the single guy ticket
Yeah.
to buy the candy bars, those giant
Well, because
candy
last
bars.
year there were a lot of like really snotty little kids that looked at the, I'd say, here, take your pick. And they kind of looked,
You know what I'm giving out? I'm giving out movie prizes. I'm giving out the box. What's that movie? The Box Top Kids or something? That I'm giving out posters and activity books. Remember the days of the radio station? We sponsored all those spook houses, and they would the guys at the spook house would come through with chainsaws, but they took the blade off, so it really would make the chainsaw sound. And we really thought it was like going to get us.
Oh, sure.
Scary.
Yeah.
And my mom one time dressed as a witch and got a big iron pot, and we got dry ice and put in there, but we didn't know, we were kids. She forgot to add water, so it never smoked. It's just like a pick on ice. I'll get you.
What's wrong with this?
Yeah.
Well, sad news today, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you heard in the last couple of days here, but Jennifer Lawrence has broken up with Chris Martin. Did you hear that?
No.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, how do you know it was her, not him?
Well, that's what I read. I read that.
In the
that she broke up-
Inquirer?
No, in the Yahoo News, I guess. It was as much as we can trust.
Did she ever say she was dating him? I don't think she did.
Well, no, I think they were. We all knew that, right?
I think
You
they
talked
were,
about it.
but I mean...
There's the phone. There's Ann
the
Rice.
phone.
We'll come back to the Chris Martin story.
Yes, I have more to add to that.
Hi. Jake?
Hello?
Jake, can you... Whoops, hold it. Jake? There.
Yep,
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Cool.
Not a little low, man.
Turn
What?
it down a little bit?
No, you're cutting out a little bit.
Oh.
I don't know why.
Okay, now it's better. That's fine.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Wait, your phone sounds crappy.
Yeah,
Are
we're
you on
getting
your
tough
phone?
time.
Will she be better?
Yeah, I'm on a landline, though, buddy. You're on a cell, so it's not me.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let me get this
Hold on.
on here.
Hold on a second, buddy.
Hello?
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, that's much better.
better.
Yes,
Much
Steve, yes.
Thank you.
All right, let me patch her through. She's super cool. Hold on.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you got like 10 minutes, okay?
Great, okay.
Thanks.
Okay, you guys roll. Hey, Tom.
Hey, buddy.
This is Steve and Vikki and Tom in Atlanta.
Hey, Ann.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. My name is Steve, and
Hi, I'm Vikki.
And I'm Tom Sullivan. Hi, Ann.
Well, I'm glad to talk to you guys.
actually, you and I go way back. I interviewed you. I found an old interview the other day. I've been in radio since the dinosaur days, and I interviewed you when you did Interview with a Vampire back in like 75 or 76.
Wow.
So-
Yeah, 38 years ago.
Well, I wasn't going to figure that math out, but thank you. Now,
And how have times changed? I remember I loved all your books, and I would go on a plane, and I'd have the book, and you could instantly make friends. Where are you at in the book? Where are you? Oh, I'm here. Oh, isn't it? And today, everybody's got Kindle, so you don't know what anybody's reading anymore.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Kindle has taken away that wonderful pleasure of having people tap you on the shoulder because of the book jacket in your hand.
Exactly.
do you like that new technology, or are you kind of against that?
Oh, no, I kind of love it. I tell you truthfully, I have not gotten with my Kindle. I've got a big hardcover book to read on the plane, and it's a Jack Reacher novel by Lee Child, and it weighs a ton, But I will get with Kindle sooner or later. I'll break down and figure it out.
Well, the newest book is Prince Lestat, Finally the Truth About the Royal Family. Thank you so much. Wow. Finally, somebody comes forward and tells...
Yes.
I mean, that queen, she's got to be a vampire, right?
Right.
Right, Ann? 114 years of age.
And is it going to be a movie already? Probably. Have they talked to you about it?
Oh, yeah. Universal Studios is very interested, and they want to redo the whole franchise, as they call it. The Vampire Chronicles, bring everybody back, bring all the main players back. And my son Christopher Rice is doing the first script, and I'm very excited about that. Very excited.
So will Brad Pitt
I
and...
want these to be faithful to the books, and here's my son, bringing his talent to bear on it. And so it's cool. It's really good.
So does this mean Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise and Anna Paquin will all be back?
I don't think so. That's 20 years ago that they made the film. 20 years. And I think if Brad and Tom had ever wanted to do these roles again, we would have heard from them. They're big guys, real big guys. And they would have called us if they wanted to reprise the roles.
Well,
I suspect it'll be somebody new. Somebody like Chris Hemsworth or Anson Mount or Stephen Amell or who knows. I mean, there's so many fine actors today who can play fantasy roles thanks to Game of Thrones and Harry Potter and all the different series, the Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. There's a lot of talent around, I think.
Well, Ann, I'm just glad you're not going to sell out and go with like the normal Hollywood deal of Matthew McConaughey, the vampire that takes his shirt off and runs around the countryside.
In his Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I tell you the truth, you never know what's going to happen with the movies. There's a lot of people have a place at the table, and the author can scream and cry and, so forth. But eventually, movies are a collaborative effort. So I hope and pray. I mean, Interview with the Vampire turned out, I thought, wonderfully faithful to the books, and I hope it'll happen again.
And do you think there will ever be a day that we just stop going to the movies because attendance is kind of down? What can filmmakers do to retain those audiences and keep them coming into the theater?
That's a good question because I don't go myself. I have such a comfortable setup at home with a 90-inch screen and a comfortable chair and peace and quiet that I just don't go to the theater. And I love to go, but I don't. I would say more small theaters with really comfortable seats and better refreshment and rules about people not talking.
And did you say a 9-inch?
That might help a lot.
Did you say a 9-inch screen?
90.
Oh, 90. I was going to say, you've made a few bucks. You can buy a bigger television set. My goodness.
No.
90.
I have a huge screen on the wall.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
All right. Good.
Well, tell us what brought you back to the vampire, the whole Chronicles, the Prince Lestat. Is where are we going to start? I don't have the book yet. I can't wait to get it, and I will get it on my Kindle. I'm sorry. I'm just a Kindle girl. But tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I missed Lestat. I missed him. It had been 12 years since I wrote about him, and I missed him, and I wanted to bring him back. I wanted to write a book, bringing everybody, all my readers, up to date on what the whole tribe was doing in the modern age. So this is kind of a sequel to all the novels I wrote before, and it picks up the tribe wrestling with things like internet radio and iPhone and satellite surveillance and the need for passports everywhere you go, and things they didn't face 200 years ago or 100 years ago. And they need a leader. They want a leader. And they're looking to Lestat to be that leader. And that's what it's really about. It's kind of a big book in terms of scope. Lots of characters, old characters, new characters, ancient immortals that nobody knew existed. It was a lot of fun to get back into that world and to report from it, believing in it completely.
Are you a big fan of Halloween?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you a big fan of Halloween?
Oh, yeah. I think Halloween's getting bigger in this country every year. I think people really love Halloween now more than they ever did.
You're
when
right.
I was a kid.
You're right.
I love it. I'm going to the Vampire Ball in New Orleans, where Lestat's fan club have their ball every year. They've been doing it for 26 years, and I'm going to be down there for it and very much looking forward to Halloween in the French Quarter.
You know, the Walgreens up the corner from me here, they've already got their Halloween costumes out for 2015. I mean, that's how big it's getting, Anne. It really is. Hey, you brought up that it was 12 years in between writing Back to the Vampires. And do you know Andy Stanley here in Atlanta?
No.
He's the minister of the North Point Church. And I think he wrote to you, and he talked a great deal about you one day in his preaching. And Tom and I had witnessed that. And he talked about how brilliant you are and how he loved your books. And he told the story of how you turned to Christianity after walking away. And you were an atheist for a while there, right?
Yes.
And then
that was true.
And then you turned back to the church. And now you haven't quite gone away from it, right?
But I think you left it in 2000, a little later on.
Yeah.
I moved away from organized religion.
Yeah.
I'm a believer and an ardent believer. But I came to believe that seeking God's guidance, it was better for me if I was not part of any particular church or denomination. And I think there are a lot of believers who feel that way. And many, maybe more than anybody realizes. I got a lot of emails when I moved away from people who said the same thing. They said, I'm a believer and I go to a very small independent little church, but I'm not part of any organized denomination. Or I just pray on my own. And that's more or less my feeling about it. I never renounced belief in God. It was more renouncing organized religion.
And Anne, I really liked what you said. You said he, God, knew how or why everything happened. He knew the disposition of every single soul.
Yes. And I trust that that's absolutely true. That we are in the hands of a supreme being that loves us. And gosh, we're living in this incredible universe, this incredibly beautiful universe. And to me, when you look around, the trees, the grass, the flowers, all these things talk to you really about God and God's love.
Back to Halloween. What are you dressing up as at the ball?
Oh, I am so boring. I am just wearing black clothes as if I was the Countess Dracula, just one of my vampires in black tie going, I guess I'll wear a white cameo at my throat and a black jacket and a long white evening scarf, and I'll just look like a sort of retired, reticent vampire.
Hey, I want to tell you a quick story. My sister lives in San Francisco, and a long time ago, she used to work at a video store called Captain Video. And you and your husband and your son Chris would come in and rent videos. And one day your son came in very young and wanted to rent an R-rated movie. And she goes, Chris, I'm sorry, I can't give this to you. You're underage. And so you actually called back to the video store and said, it's okay. My son can watch any R-rated movie he wants.
Yep, that happened, and I remember Captain Video, and my son always could, and I didn't believe in censorship, and he's grown up to be okay.
Yeah, they always do, don't they?
What did you think of the Twilight series? Were you just appalled? I mean, because really, I think Anne Rice is responsible for the whole vampire craze. You started it all.
Well, I tell you, I've enjoyed the Twilight movies. I really
Oh,
had.
good. Okay.
It's certainly not what I would have ever done with vampires. I would not want to spend eternity in high school in Fort Washington.
Me neither.
It's not something I would do. If I got the dark blood, I would head out to Paris right away, or London, or New York, or Barcelona, or Rome. But I think Stephenie Meyers is very clever, and I think she's a good writer, and I think she's made vampires, helped to make them mainstream, and she deserves a lot of credit for that. And I think her movies are just incredible. You can't argue with that kind of popularity. She obviously made her audience extremely happy, and I like to believe that they're going on and they're buying other vampire writers. There's room for everybody's interpretation, really.
Anne, you're obviously a very smart individual. Have you ever had your IQ tested? Do you know what your IQ is?
I remember in high school that it was pretty low.
Really?
I wasn't one of the brains. I wasn't one of the brilliant ones, the little brainy kids. They had it all over me. But I really don't have any idea.
Is there anything that you can't do that's a kind of a simple task? Can you, parallel park your car?
Oh, I can't drive.
Oh, you can't
I don't
drive?
have a driver's license.
Oh, you don't?
I never did learn how. Actually, I did learn how, and I did get a driver's license. I never used it, and I don't have it now.
Really?
But I have a wonderful, wonderful assistant, Beckett, who drives me everywhere I go, and he's terrific.
That's
He's the one that
nice.
fixes the computer when it goes down, too.
Wow. Maybe you're not so smart as I thought. Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm handicapped. Got a deficit.
And it's great following you on Instagram and Twitter with all your posts.
Oh, I have a lot of fun. I love Facebook, and I post every day. I've already posted a couple of times this morning.
You have? No, seriously,
Oh, yeah.
she doesn't drive, but you'll do the social media thing. Okay.
Oh, yeah, totally.
As long as you don't do them both at the same time, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, you'll have plenty of time in the back seat of the car, right, when the guy's driving you around to do all that.
Yes, ideally.
Yeah.
Ideally, yes.
Well, we hope you'll post about talking to us here in Atlanta with the Steve and Vikki podcast. So we appreciate it very much.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Anne. Very nice talking with you. Happy Halloween.
Yes, and Merry Christmas.
Happy Halloween, guys. Thank
Bye.
you. It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye, Anne.
Bye-bye.
She was nice.
She was very nice, wasn't she?
I forgot. Jake told me, don't say you're doing a podcast.
Oh, he did.
And I did at the very end there, but she probably didn't catch it. She's not as smart as I thought she was.
No,
So-
she was really nice.
Yeah, very
and she
nice.
likes the whole vampire. I thought she would say, well, I guess that would be nice if she said that.
Yeah, what's she going to say?
Isn't that
really?
funny? She'd never heard of Andy Stanley.
I
Yeah.
never had,
One
even
of the-
when he sent it to me.
One
I
of the
go,
greatest Christian, he's like one of the most 10 powerful Christian leaders in America, and
They
from
now-
the largest church.
It's now the largest church in the country.
Largest
Beat
Christian
out
church.
Olstein. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, you got to remember, we're Atlanta.
Yeah, I know.
Not everybody knows.
Well, but there's 80 churches or more around the country that are a part of this.
That show him speaking.
Yes,
Like he's
yes.
at Red Rocks in Denver. They show him at Red Rocks during the spring and summer. So,
And how about that? She remembered Captain Video, where
Yes!
my sister
And
was.
she remembers saying he could watch anything he wants.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
How old was he? Like
I don't know,
10?
really young, and so they said they made my sister made a note in her card file, because that was back then, no computer, and they wrote down there, Chris Rice can rent R-rated movies.
Wow. That
And now
was-
he's writing her first screenplay, didn't she say?
Yeah.
How about that?
okay, well, since it's Halloween, if I asked you guys who's the most famous witch you can think of,
Oh,
who would you say?
the Wicked Witch of the North.
Oh, very good.
Of the
Tom.
West. Was it the West or the North?
The Wicked Witch of the West.
Yes, the West, because the Glinda was from the North.
Yeah.
My neighbor would say Michelle Nunn, but that's just my neighbor.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Very good, Tom. I'm so glad one of you said that, because I've got an interview back from my days early on, like way back when in the 70s that I found. And I thought, when I listened to this, because I'm mastering them all now, this goes back to 75. I talked to Margaret Hamilton. Do you want to hear this?
Yeah.
It's about her playing the Wicked Witch of the West. And
Oh, yeah.
Wait till you hear how much money she made for this role. It's pretty interesting stuff, I thought. And I thought, since it's Halloween, we do it. So Margaret Hamilton, of course, she's dead these days and no longer with us. But this was back when she was in her 60s or 70s, back in 1975, WRD in Spartanburg.
Let's talk about the Wizard of Oz, if we can.
All right, that's going back.
How are you cast for the Wicked Witch of the
I have
West?
the slightest idea. I
You
went
don't
in,
know.
I'm sure, with I don't. I think lots of people must have been interviewed and pulled in. I've always thought maybe my nose may have had something to do with it, but they didn't seem to think it was big enough and made it more so. But I have no really idea. I know that for a while it looked as though Gail Sondergaard was going to play it because they decided that she was under contract to them too, and also that they decided they wanted a beautiful witch, and she could certainly fulfill that bill.
Right.
She had that marvelous look of evil when she wanted to, but yet at the same time she was very, very, very attractive, very beautiful. I always thought. So then I thought, well, that's that. Well, then a very short time after that, they asked me to come in and make a test and pick out what I wanted for clothing, which was awfully funny because I went in and got all the rags I could put my hands on. Just really did what I suspect is much more like an old hag, because I had no costume or anything like that.
Right.
But I had a few lines from the dialogue, and I did them and cackled and carried on, and that was that. About a week later, I think it was, or perhaps two, I can't quite remember the time, they decided to go with that idea, and that's how I got it. And other than that, I really don't know. I don't think many of us know really how or why we get them unless we have a particular quality that is very special or that they want very much. It's only indication that I would ever have of why anybody gets any particular part. But I don't think any of us had idea that we were in a spectacular. I suppose, for instance, right along with us for a while, they were being preparation to do Gone with the Wind.
What was Judy Garland like as a young girl?
She was an absolute darling, as far as I'm concerned.
Really?
Just a darling, and I think as far as everybody else in the picture was concerned, she came in early. You know, we all came in awfully early, but she was always bright and fresh and excited, and she was like any 16-year-old of that day, not of this day. We don't have 16-year-olds like Judy's anymore, I don't think. She really, really, I was the prime essence of innocence. That face, as you see it in the picture, with all that wide-eyed wonder, came from way deep within Judy, I think. And I think she's one of the finest actresses we ever had. Great shame that we never gave her an award. Very outstanding, really, one, in spite of all the difficulties she went through and the ups and downs of her life, she has a tremendous place in everybody's heart. Doesn't matter that she's gone from us and we can't see her and hear her anymore any further, let us say. We certainly can see her and hear her and do all the time, and she brings that same charm and sweetness and, I mean, integrity, I think, to what she does. And I never can say enough about it because I loved her very dearly. And I didn't really see a great deal of her, or of any of them, really, because she was finishing her high school year at the same time. I think also taking examinations, doing all sorts of very difficult things. How she did it, I really don't know. It was a big part and a real responsibility, but she went ahead and she was finishing her senior year at that time when we were doing the picture.
Miss Hamilton, do you watch The Wizard of Oz when it comes out every year?
I think I'm not going to, you see. And then I think, well, I'll listen to Judy's first song. Of course, I'm absolutely swept up with it, and sit there through the whole thing and weep a little bit at the end. I have no sense of making the picture. Some people say, oh, goodness, don't you realize that where you were standing was the camera, and how does it... And I said, no, I don't. I think I'm caught up with the picture that I'm watching.
Could I ask you how much you got paid for that role?
Yes, I got $1,000 a week. That's what I was getting in those days, and that's what I kept it at. I had opportunities. Well, once in a while I do two pictures at once, which happens to everybody, and then I would, in order to do that, we would ask, I think, like $1,250 or something, $1,500, mostly $1,200 for one picture, and then $1,000 for the other. And I kept my salary to $1,000 because that is no great shakes. It sounds a lot, but it's not a big salary at all, especially in those days. But I knew I could work a lot, which I wanted to do, if I kept it at that. But if I went up to $12.50 and $15, then there would be a lot of roles that I really loved doing that were small and really not worth the $70, paying that much. And I always got a 2-week guarantee, which wasn't a lot, but it was just better than a one. And of course, when they would give it to me easily, or sometimes they would give you 3 or 4, but then you knew you were going to have more than 4 weeks because they never guaranteed you if they could possibly help it.
How many weeks did it take to...
It took 23 for me, and 26, I think, for the others.
I see.
I wasn't, in the very last scene. And as I remember, I may be wrong, but it seems to me that we did the beginning and the ending together, rather at the end of the picture. And because it was a natural thing to do. I may be wrong, but that was my memory of it. But I wasn't in the last 3 weeks of it anyway.
Okay, you got to tell me something here.
Yeah.
Ever since I've been a youngster watching The Wizard of Oz, I have wondered how you melted.
Well, it was very, very well done. you stood on a little piece of flooring that was like an elevator, and it went down and up, and you went slowly or fast as they wished it to be. But the trick was, it stood on the platform, and then all the way around on the outside of the platform, they pinned the dress down. And as I went down, and then they rested the hat on my head like rubber bands, very, very big, heavy rubber bands, so that it would stay on the floor once my head left it, you see. And I went down very, very slowly, and screaming and yelling, carrying on. And when the hat rested on the dress, they stopped the camera. I slipped out of the dress and arranged it on the little platform, with help, I'm sure, from somebody. I don't remember exactly what the situation under the flooring was, but then they raised the platform up under the hat, and then stopped the camera. Of course, well, didn't have to, the camera wasn't going in that time. Anyway, took all the nails out, I think, and then they put the hat, or put dry ice on around on the dress and hat, and poured some water on it, which made it go, fuzz and steam the way dry ice. And then they start the camera, and Toto goes over and sniffs, and I'm gone.
You have been an absolute delight to talk with.
Thank you. I've been very glad to talk to you. Thank you for asking.
You have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You have a good day. I'm a radio DJ.
I know. Oh, I hate that.
Oh, Steve, isn't it great, though? You still have tapes like that, which is awesome.
I found a bunch of tapes. I talked to people that I've forgotten. Butch Cassidy's sister was alive, 93 or 94 years of age. I'm talking to her.
Boy, that's been on my bucket list.
I mean, seriously.
An interview with Butch Cassidy's sister.
Well, and then Lee Harvey Oswald's mother. Talked to her, yeah.
Do you still have the one you did with Lincoln?
I didn't do that one. Lincoln, thanks very much.
Hey, by the way, as a side note, she hurt herself filming that. And they wanted to do
I don't know why she didn't say that. And
because maybe it's a lie.
Well, no, it's true. I've heard it, that she got second-degree burns on her face, third-degree burns on her hand during a second take of the scene where she exits from Munchkinland and the trapdoor, and they had, you stop filming and then make it not so you couldn't see it. And then the fire got out of hand, and she burned, and she says she did not want to do any more scenes with fire from that point on.
Wow.
You could tell that she had answered my questions a million times before, how quickly she was just running through the Judy Garland thing.
I thought she was very well caffeinated.
Yeah, maybe. But isn't that interesting, though, too, in 75...
$23,000 is all she made for that movie.
Yeah.
No residuals either,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said she was afraid to go up to $1,200 because she thought they'd X her from the film,
Wow.
But the other interesting thing I thought is how she said Judy Garland was a nice 16-year-old, not like the 16-year-olds we have today, back in 1975. I mean, we could almost say that today, right? About 16-year-olds. I don't know. Well, maybe not. I think some 16-year-olds today are much nicer than they were in my generation.
I think what she was saying was she was very innocent and vulnerable, and that's probably what led to her demise, because back then she was, when you hear the stories that, oh, you're fat and this and that, and she's just this innocent young girl that has this tremendous voice.
From Kansas.
But yeah, that's pretty amazing. And it's not, is it on TV anymore?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
Not yearly like it used to be. It always used to be played around Thanksgiving. Remember?
I think it is still on.
Is it? But at Thanksgiving
I didn't
time?
know that.
Really?
Yeah, and then they sandwich it with a follow-up of The Sound of Music. So they put both of them together. But no, seriously.
You must be in heaven then. That day.
I don't know which shoes to wear. Hello?
The green pointy ones that curl up when the house falls on her?
Or the red sparkly ones.
It's funny about The Wizard of Oz. As a kid, my sister and I would sit down every year to watch it because it was only a yearly event. You couldn't get VHS tapes and watch anything when you wanted like you can today. So that's why I don't think they show it that often, but maybe they do. But I think about, as we got older and I saw it, I started to get analytical about it and think about things like, like it bothered me that when in the beginning when she comes to grab Toto and take Toto away, the dog, because he was out barking at her or something. And the grandmother or the aunt to Judy Garland says, Elvira Gulch, just because you own half of the county doesn't mean that you can come and take a dog. I thought, well, if she owns half of the county, why is she riding a bike?
Yeah,
because she rode a bike. Where's her vehicle? Right.
But there were so many other things. Like we're looking for faults in films. Like you can see someone in one of the big forest scenes.
Yeah.
And, there's all these things that are out of whack. What should be.
Why'd she put the dog in a basket that was easily escapable? I mean,
it's
Are you trying to ruin the film for millions of Americans?
I guess so. I guess I'm trying to.
We always, as kids, were so frightened, and even producers were frightened when they made the film because they thought maybe this is too scary for children, and we would run out of the room. I'd have to go sit with my daddy and my mama.
Yeah. Flying monkeys were pretty scary.
I do remember, though, sitting down watching with one of my nieces or nephews, and they were bored to tears. I guess which broke my heart, because when it's black and white and then it goes to color, and I just thought, isn't this just brilliant? And they weren't.
It's like when I sat down and I showed Lucy Pinocchio, the original Disney film, and she got bored with it. And it really was very long and drawn out.
Yeah.
Not like today's kind of movies where they...
When you wish upon a star. I could just cry.
Jiminy Cricket.
I could just cry.
Jiminy Cricket.
But you know what? Kids, you're right. Kids right now, they want like flashing and moving. And like I gave the kid across the street something. He goes, what's it do? I said, use your imagination. He goes, I'm bored with that.
What was it that you gave him?
A doll. Like a G.I. Joe,
Oh. And he didn't know. He didn't want to play.
He goes, oh, come on. Where's the action? Where's the app?
Yeah. I took my two sons outside one day when they were about 8 or 10 and said, we're going to play this game called Running Bases, all right? And I set up the two things and made one kid get it. And I said, now, Ryan, you got to run here before I can throw the ball to your brother near you. And if he tags you or I tag you with the ball, then you're out. And so they did it for about 20 seconds. Proclaimed that this is the stupidest thing ever. They couldn't believe that I ever played this as a kid for hours, and that it was just stupid.
Well, when we were young, the worst punishment would be go to your room.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing you could do for kids today. Go to your room. No, if you said you're going to go outside and you can't be on your computer all day. No!
Well, the kids, are babysat by their iPads now. Parents, and I know, like Rosie O'Donnell was saying on The View, that she just takes, there's no distractions during dinner. It's a family dinner. They have only a certain amount of time they can use their devices. Yeah.
I think that's very good.
Do you and your husband ever pull out your phones and just, when you're out at a restaurant or something, just surf the web or something? Check email?
It's usually has to do with business, but it's still horrible, and I do it. And we'll both say, okay, no phones. And then I'll say, but I need to hear from, and it's an excuse. But, yeah, I think that's terrible, and I'm guilty. And I've got a story, Tom. Do you know who Tyler Sullivan is? Is he any relation to you?
No.
Are you sure?
Impossible. Unless he's coming to some money.
Tyler Sullivan's 26. He's from Connecticut. And he stumbled into his mom's apartment and snuggled in her bed. Well, apparently it was the wrong apartment. The woman wasn't his mom, and he has been arrested. 2 questions.
Yes.
I guess the biggest question, who snuggles with their mom when they're 26?
I know.
Steve, when you go back to Buffalo, are you snuggling with mom?
Yeah.
Are you spooning with Thelma?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, pass the cigarettes.
Yeah. You're blocking the TV, son. Get out of the way.
Hot in here.
Get off of me.
Erase.
Yeah.
Hey, did y'all see SNL with Jim Carrey?
Oh, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought a couple of the bits were pretty good. The one where he's doing the Matthew McConaughey takeoff that we kind of did a couple of weeks ago, that was pretty good. I've got that here. Vikki sent that to me. Whoops. Why can't we hear that?
Oh, it's not plugged in.
That darn duct tape fell off.
Here we go.
Why do I drive Lincoln? Why does anybody do anything? We're just bugs on a rock in a void. See, I believe we were a mistake. Life. Earth. I believe it is each man's duty to correct the mistake that nature made. Extinguish mankind like the pathetic match that it is.
Dad, are you okay?
I'm super good, bud.
You're going 5 miles an hour?
Not bad for Lincoln.
Yeah. That's pretty good, I thought. Yeah.
Did he say it, or did someone else say? He goes, "Why am I going from winning an Oscar to doing car commercials?" Or was that your bit? They're all running together now. Yeah, so I heard that.
They did 2 or 3 of them.
They
on the
did
show.
3 of them.
Yeah.
They were all good.
And I thought, exactly, here he is doing a car commercial from winning an Oscar.
Hey, how about, you remember when we used to have John Edward on our studio? He would
Love
come
him.
to town.
Yes.
And he's going to join us in weeks to come.
Is he in the room right now?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
He's in Australia, but when he gets back to the States, he's calling the show.
Oh, okay, great.
Fantastic.
Well, there was one day, I've got one call that he just nailed this person's name. I mean, I'd never heard anything like this. Here's John Edward from the past.
Who sees dead people.
Thank you.
This morning.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
I lost my father at a very, very young age, and I always feel like there is a message that I've missed from him. Sometimes I can sense that I know he's always with me, but I just don't know if I'm really missing a message that he's meaning to tell me.
Bernadette, let me just jump right in here and tell you 2 things. First of all, I think everybody misses that message, and they misinterpret the message that they're feeling. And I think that you are feeling your dad around you, and I love hearing people say that. And I think that one of the things that, if I could just translate for you what that message is I'm here, I'm around, I'm okay, I'm watching you, I love you, I'm a participant. But I think people egotistically, in a not a bad way, but the human ego gets involved and says, no, it's got to be more about something specific to me. And that's where sometimes a reading comes in, or that's where a visit from them will come in. Bernadette, are you Bernadette Marie?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I want you to know that your dad is definitely around you. Did you do something as a child where you clogged the drain? Like, did you, stick a Barbie doll down a drain and not tell anybody? Or did you, who clogged the drain, or they clogged the pipe in some way?
I would say, I don't know. I was only 9 when he died.
I think that's why he's referencing this. And Bernadette, can I ask you, are you in your 30s now?
No older than that.
Okay, can we go back to when you were 30s and what the transition was that took place in your 30s?
40 is the new 30, though, so...
Did you marry? Did you have a child?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I was married for the 2nd time and 2 more new children.
Okay, I feel like this is your dad's way of watching over you. And if I say to you Joe or John or James, where's that?
Joe is my oldest brother.
Okay, and are you one of 4 kids?
Yes, actually 5.
Well, he's telling me that there's 4 that are linked.
4. I have 4 older brothers.
Okay, because I need to acknowledge that. And then aren't there twins, or there's a Gemini in here? Because Gemini is a sign of twins.
Yes, my youngest brother is a Gemini.
Okay, and there's somebody. I'm so sorry to do this on the radio, and I have to say it. Did somebody recently, or there was an issue about somebody that questioned their sexuality, or that somebody was in a same-sex relationship?
Not that I'm aware of.
Your dad's bringing that up, so that's going to come up in conversation in the family, and he's making me feel like there's nothing wrong with that. They need to be supportive. They need to be open-minded, because there's going to be an issue about that, and he's making a big deal about this. So I don't know if this comes up with a grandchild, if this comes up with a friend of the family, and somebody comes to you, Bernadette, but I need to acknowledge that. And Bernadette, besides your name for your aunt or your grandmother?
I don't know who I was named after.
They're telling me
I didn't know my grandparents either.
They're putting an A after your name, Bernadetta. So remember that I'm saying this, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks so much, Bernadette. Wow, John, I've never heard you nail someone's name before like that.
I've always got names and initials, but in the last year, it's like this coolest thing. I hope it doesn't go away. I will.
So that's it.
Wow.
John Edward.
Bernadette.
That was
Marie.
pretty amazing. I thought that maybe we might have told him the name, but that was, as hey, you're going to be talking to Bernadette next. But no, pretty amazing.
No, well, we told him the name up front because we said Bernadette you're on with John Edward. But when he said, is your name Bernadette Marie? Mm-hmm. I mean, to get the middle name, where did he come up with that? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know.
Still, my favorite John Edward is the one with the shoe. Remember that?
No, tell me.
Where he was saying, I think it was a woman that wanted to connect with her father. And then he said something about, he says, your father is saying he's still laughing about you losing a shoe. And she said something about on her wedding day or something, she lost a shoe.
Oh, that's right.
And that blew my mind, and I was a believer ever since.
Oh, wow.
Well, I remember one time he was in the studio with us, and our music director at the time, JR, came walking in, and JR's wife was pregnant, and they were about to have a baby. Their second one, I think.
First?
Oh, okay.
No, maybe it was the second.
I don't know.
No. It was the first because well, go ahead. You can tell the story.
His mom had just recently died, and he had been thinking of naming the child, if it's a girl, after his mom. But nobody knew that. We didn't know that until after. And John Edward just looks at him. He came in to like bring in paper logs or the music log to us or something. And John Edward says, "Hey, your wife is pregnant, isn't she?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "You're thinking of naming the baby after your mother, aren't you?"
I think he even said Catherine, whatever his mom's name was, and he fell to his knees.
He burst into tears.
Oh.
Yeah. And then we said, "What's the matter, JR?" And he said, "That's true. We were talking about that."
Wow, that's a great
And then
moment.
John Edward said, "But you're going to have a boy." And so you
Did he?
can't.
He
And he
did?
did. It was Jackson.
Oh, my goodness.
Isn't that crazy?
You're right.
Crazy
Wow.
stuff.
My sister got to talk to him. Remember, we had my sister was on the air, got to communicate or talk about my mom who had passed. So that was a great moment for me.
Well, let's see. Anything else? Anybody got anything else they want to wrap up? I had a whole bunch of stuff, but we've gone over an hour.
Yeah, we have.
So, all right.
It's one big treat.
All right.
It's one big treat.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. Happy Halloween, everybody. Hopefully you're safe tonight if you're going to a party.
Drive carefully because you know rush hour is going to be crazy.
Look out for little trick-or-treaters, all right?
Yeah. So now that we got all that stuff out.
And tomorrow, November 1st, time for Christmas.
Oh,
no,
boy.
make sure you go to the Alpharetta Chili Cook-Off.
When is that?
It is.
Set tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
From
Where?
2 until after the game.
Yeah, we'll have it on our Steve and Vikki podcast page on Facebook.
Very good. Well, we'll see you all next week then, we hope. Hopefully spread the word around about the Steve and Vikki show here on the podcast with Tommy, and we'll be back again next Friday, everybody.
Cash prizes.
Ow!
Bye-bye.